All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is pop the popcorn. But before I do that, I wanted to show you these toffee bits. These are from Heath, and these are optional, but I like to put them on at the end after the caramel corn has fully baked, but while it's still warm, and it kind of just melts down in there and gives you a nice crunchy texture. So I prefer this, but if you can find another brand, go for it. So I have one of these old-fashioned Whirly Pop popcorn makers. Oprah had this as one of her favorite things for Christmas a couple of years back, and I got one for myself and I got one for my parents, and we both use them all the time. So you actually stir this to agitate the popcorn and to make it pop, and it leaves very, very few unpopped kernels. So we're going to take a third of a cup of popcorn, a generous third, maybe a little extra because you never really have too much popcorn. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of cooking oil, and turn it on. I normally tape from my parents' home, and they have gas, which I prefer, but at my condo we have electric, so it's not quite as quick. So this might take a little bit longer to start popping. So election night musings. I was talking to a couple of my friends earlier today, and I said that I feel today as I felt, I don't know, 15 years ago when I took the bar exam. After I took the bar, I felt really confident on the inside that I'd passed, but I had no outside, support or indication that I had done so. So for, I don't know, you take the bar in July and you find out the results in like October and November. So for months, I just had this feeling in the pit of my stomach, like, did I pass? Did I fail? Did I pass? Did I fail? And then finally, boom, the results came out, they were published, and it was verified that I had passed. So I feel confident that the party that I support probably will be victorious when this is all said and done. But in the meantime, there's still this inner angst and turmoil as we wait and wait and wait and wait. No matter what your political affiliation is, I really hope that, number one, you took advantage of your right to vote. I have lived a lot of places in the world, and I know that Americans, we have become quite used to the fact that, we are given an unalienable right to vote, that it is embedded in our Constitution. And, those of us who are Americans by birth and those who are Americans by naturalization both have equal right to the ballot box. That is not the case in many, many parts of the world. People are disenfranchised for all kinds of reasons. So voting is a privilege. My parents were born at a time when America was still under a legal system of racial apartheid, and they did not have full rights when they were born and when they grew up, and their parents certainly did not. So it hasn't been in the distant past that people who are from my community were disenfranchised and not permitted to vote at all. So this is something I take really seriously, and I hope that you do too. No matter where you are on the political spectrum, you have a duty and an obligation as an American citizen to vote. So I hope you did that. But I also hope that when the dust settles from all of this, the election campaign cycle has been going on for well over a year now. We have been bombarded with adverts and emails and text messages, and just, you cannot escape it if you tried. And it taxes you, and it taxes our relationships as Americans who represent a range of political views and personal beliefs. But my hope is that after this is done, that we can find a common piece and that we can find an area to converge. I know that we will never, ever, ever have the same monolithic views, and that should not even be the goal. But ultimately, we are citizens of this nation before we're Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, any of those other things. Like, your passport and your birth certificate do not identify your political affiliation. They identify your nationality. And that has to mean something. Like, this is a country, as flawed as it is and as much as we've messed up, that is built on a really beautiful promise of full citizenship for every single person. And we have failed to meet that promise many, many times. But we've also gotten better with each successive generation. And so it's on all of us to try and work together to steer this country in the way that it should go and to fulfill the promise that is written into that Constitution. So off my soapbox. I did vote, not today, but I voted a month ago, but I waited to put on my little sticker so I could feel like I was part of the in crowd. Popcorn is popping. And so this is the process. So in the microwave, you normally wait until you hear like 2 or 3 seconds between pops to turn it off, otherwise it'll burn. It's kind of the same thing here. You don't want to wait until you don't hear any more kernels popping, because that probably means that you are about to scorch your popcorn. So you just want to keep stirring, and in a few minutes we'll have our popcorn for the recipe. So one other thing I want to say before we go back to the popcorn is, you notice I have on all my pearls. I have on, let me see where it is, my pink and green scarf. And I joined many members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which was founded at Howard University in 1908. Kamala Harris, who is the vice presidential nominee on the Democratic ticket, is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And there are 9 Black African-American Greek letter organizations in total. And collectively, they're known as the Divine Nine or the D9. So you may have seen that a lot this election cycle. And again, these organizations are nonpartisan. They do not engage directly with any party or any kind of political affiliation, but they do encourage get out the vote efforts and, you know, registering people to vote. And so today I wore all of my little AKA, well, not all of it, I have a lot of it, but, you know, things that are symbolic and important to my sorority. So the pearls are one of the things that are important to us and to the women who are members of Delta Sigma Theta. Okay, yeah, perfect. All right. And then our colors, our sorority colors, are salmon pink and apple green. So that's where the scarf comes in. You may have seen your timeline with women who are wearing pearls either from my sorority or from some other organization, and that's why. It's just a show of solidarity that we all support this process and that we are out here and we're going to be heard today. So our popcorn is done. I'm going to go grab a baking sheet and put this out to cool, and then while that's cooling, we will make the caramel. Okay, so stick with me. I'll be back in just a few minutes.